After rewatching that game and contextualizing it the way that you did by saying it was probably the biggest upset that you feel like you were a part of, did it match up to that?
Yes, absolutely. Watching the film, everything that was, I guess you could say, against us, situation our offensive line was in, to have if you think about it, an improper perspective distorts reality, We had a 17-year-old tackle going against the Big Ten defensive lineman of the year, and going into that game. And then two other probably high draft picks on the defensive line with another freshman offensive lineman and a quarterback playing in his first road game, which you know how easy it is to play quarterback now. Everybody thinks it is. You stand back there, all right, and have Michigan State's front seven running at you full speed when the ball is snapped for 4 quarters and see how you make out. But yes, just knowing all of the things and all of the guys in that room upstairs, and I'm speaking about the coaches in this building, the players, they know what just happened. And that's, to me, I've been a part of a lot of upsets. I was at Kansas when we were 40-some point underdogs, and we were driving with the ball. We were only down by 6 with like 2 minutes left to go in the game. And it's not even close. It's not even comparable what an upset it was on our side of the ball on offense and what we accomplished.
What about Eno? Obviously, he's used to running at will, lots of yards, and it's been a different year for him with a different line.
Yes. Somebody showed me a stat yesterday. I don't know if it's true. Stats are. People they can just make them up. But I think I saw it on the internet or something about him having more rushing yards this year than he did at this point in time last year. Okay, so like I said, improper perspective distorts reality. We didn't really get our run game going until right around this time last year and trying to find out what we could do well. And we are in a much different situation than we were last year. We had a ton of experience everywhere last year. So, he's in a great place. He's had 2 excellent practices, maybe the 2 best practices he's had this fall camp, today and yesterday. So very excited about his mental state right now and where he's at.
Coach, you talk about, obviously, Jaden, a game like this, not a lot of points, going back and forth. You always say that he's kind of got that calm demeanor, like, yeah, we'll get it. But is there any point maybe in the game where you sensed just maybe a teeny bit of frustration with him because he wants to make a play but trying to stay within the offense? But did he ever seem frustrated to you as it gets deeper in the game and points are obviously minimal?
No, not at all. He doesn't change. He literally doesn't change at all. He shows absolute no emotion. He shows passion. He wants to do well, but he shows no frustration whatsoever. Nothing. Zero. It's pretty amazing. Were we all frustrated? Yeah, we felt like we didn't execute at a high level on the first drive. I think our guys were a little too pumped up, I guess you could say, and we had some guys, not doing what they were supposed to do because I think their emotions got, the best of them. But he never showed that at all. And, and I talked on the headphones with him on several occasions and go, man, dude, you know what to do, just do it. And he was like, "Yeah, got you, coach, got you." So he never shows any of that.
Offensive linemen they kind of blend into the woodwork with fans, but Donovan West's performance was the best that Dave Christensen said he's ever seen from a freshman in his career.
Right.
So what do you make about just the way he played in that game?
He really understands. He's got this special quality about him that I think you have to be a great offensive line, is he understands blocking schemes. He understands what we're trying to do. He doesn't just have a rule and then go out and do his rule at offensive line. He knows exactly what we're trying to do in great detail. And then he understands pad level. If you look on the film, his helmet is always underneath the helmet of the D lineman. He does a great job of getting movement he's a little undersized, because he's just a freshman and not developed as much as he's going to be when he's a junior physically, having 3 years in an off-season weight program. But he can get movement. He understands leverage. He's the low man every time. and he understands the game. You know, Dave tells me all the time he's one of the smartest O-linemen he's ever had. So those are all great qualities, and you know, the future's really bright up front.
Coach, can you speak a little bit to moving Cole back to center instead of having him out at the left tackle? How much easier it is to help out maybe a left tackle instead of helping out a center, especially with a true freshman quarterback when you can shift? And you can leave
Yes, yes. And so when we started out this season, people asked that, why didn't you just put LD there in the first game? He just wasn't ready. He wasn't ready, and freshmen aren't supposed to be ready. Another stat I saw on the internet, or somebody said that there was 10 or 11 true freshman offensive linemen in all of FBS. We have 2 of them up front. So I mean, you're not supposed to start freshmen, and especially at that left tackle position. So. What was your question? I forgot, man. I start rambling sometimes. I forget.
How much easier is it to
Oh, yes, yes. So, yeah, exactly.
Tackle?
So, you know, we were watching the film, and it's over and over again, the true freshman and then Jarrett Bell together, and the communication and the double teams, and, you know, along with the snaps and all of that stuff. Like, if your core's not strong in anything, you know, you're not going to be able to do much. And so we wanted to make sure the core was strong. At least we could do that, and then we could game plan, manipulate, and do things to help the tackles.
So on that note, Rob, some coaches believe that you should never lose your starting position due to injury, but some coaches also say if it's not broken, don't fix it. We talk about an offensive line, a position that is so built on chemistry and cohesiveness. If this offensive line is playing up to the standard that you feel it's supposed to play at, when you're going to have players coming back from injuries, maybe possibly coming back from a leave of absence, do you think about tinkering with this offensive line?
No.
If it's working?
I hope this is our offensive line every single game from here on out, you know, until the end of our bowl game, you know. That's what I hope happens. I hope we don't have to move or even talk about moving another person.
It seems like Colorado's playing really hard under Mel Tucker on defense. What do they look like to you structurally compared to the past, and what stands out?
You know, there's still a 50 front, and they still, you know, like all 50 fronts, they're built to stop the inside run and stop the inside zone and things like that, and make you bounce all of your plays out into the perimeter. Very similar to what, you know, Kent State looked like on film and all that stuff. So, and then, you know, what happens is it becomes a perimeter matchup game. Who wins the battles out on the perimeter? And you know, I feel pretty good about our guys. You know, I feel like, you know, Michigan State, even it's the first time since I've been here I saw a team actually show us respect on offense, where as far as our speed out on the perimeter. They did some things completely different in the secondary than they did, you know, for anybody. And you know, as a testament to some of the skill guys that we have. So I think it's going to be a perimeter game, you know, and we're going to have to make plays out there on those matchups.
Coach, going through the season, you guys have kept praising Jaden for his positive attitude and his maturity, and him just being level-headed and being passionate but not emotional. Something that Herm kept saying this week. Can he do anything at this point that would surprise you? Because it seems like he doesn't surprise you guys anymore. You expect it out of him.
Yeah, you know, it would surprise me if he played bad. It would surprise me if he made bad decisions over and over again. Everybody's going to make a poor read, a poor decision, but if it compounded, that would surprise me, because you know, it's just what he does. He tries to take care of the ball, and he doesn't force things, and he's really intelligent in that way. He's not selfish, and when I say that, you know, a lot of quarterbacks, you know, Dave Craig was out at practice today, which was really cool. I have his football card, and you know, it's just kind of cool seeing those dudes out there. But you know what, he was saying that. He's like, look, man, just take the profit, you know. You don't have to be selfish. You don't have to wow the crowd and throw the corner out, you know. And that's what I thought he did such a great job of. I know probably a lot of people don't realize this, but we called more down the field shots in this game, than the Michigan State game, than we did, you know, the whole year. But they were rolling the coverages, and we didn't get to throw them. And he didn't force any of them. That's what I loved. He didn't force anything, and he just dropped it down, or he took off running. And that's what you're supposed to do. He didn't put the ball in jeopardy. And so that's kind of like what he does, man. And if he didn't do that, I would be surprised, because that's what I come to expect from him.
So Rob, I mean, obviously there's quite a gap of talent defensive-wise between a team like Sacramento State and a team like Michigan State, and in both instances you scored as a touchdown. But
Right.
you obviously look at it differently when you're, quote unquote, just scoring a touchdown against a defense like Michigan State versus as far as performance level compared to Sacramento.
Sure. Yes. When you walked out of the Sacramento State game, you were extremely disappointed, and couldn't wait to watch the film and go, man, what happened? And I already knew what happened in the Michigan State game. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was a totally different deal, because it was you left Sacramento State and you're looking at the game plan going, what could we have done? And I look at the Michigan State game plan. We had 216 yards of offense, and we scored one touchdown, and I'm going to frame that. That is one of the best game plans I feel like our coaching staff on offense has ever come up with, outside of the one we had against them last year, when we had 27 first downs against them, more and 440 some yards, which was way more than any team in the entire Big Ten even came close to having that offensive production against them last year. So both of those game plans were great. They were outstanding, and I'm talking about my coaches and everybody in the execution of the players, and some of the things that we did in that Michigan State game to protect Jaden, just behind the scenes things that you would only know about if you were up in that room. It was just amazing. It was unbelievable. So I was satisfied with that, completely unsatisfied with our Sacramento State production.
Coach, speaking a little bit to the special teams performances that you guys have had, obviously you just put Christian on scholarship yesterday.
Yeah.
And can you speak a little bit to the performance that he's had, basically coming out of the bullpen and taking over for Brandon Ruiz, another good kicker that you guys have?
Oh, yes.
Speak to the comfortability that you have with letting him.
Absolutely. And, we were all kind of, oh boy, our kicker's out, in the first game, and then, and then combined with our defensive efforts and what they've done in the first three games, and in him, we don't have a chance to win any of those games without those two elements, our defense and our kicking game. And now I don't even think about it. I still think about that as if you're putting the two teams up against each other, you know how they do it on TV. That's the advantage. Arizona State, advantage these guys, advantage here. Now I think our kicker is an advantage for us, because of what he's done. He's proved he can do it in all situations, and those were, what is he, 8 for 8 right now?
Yeah.
That's come on, what else you want him to do? So you trust him, absolutely.
There isn't a question
Never.
about it anymore.
I don't even think about it.
I know you said through camp, obviously Jaden looked starting to get more comfortable with the receivers, but through 3 games now, first big road game, how do you feel that their nonverbal communication is it developing?
It is developing. It needs to get better, and it will get better with time in practicing. We've had 2 outstanding practices the last 2 days, and those guys have really, I love where we're at mentally, coming into this game compared to coming into, say, the San Diego State game last year after we got ranked and after, we beat Michigan State. It's totally different. On our side of the ball, I know, is our guys are mad. They're not satisfied. They're not happy. There's not a lot of joking around going, we want to prove, and we want to get better, and we want to come out and prove to the fans, and we want to prove to the defense, and we want to prove to everybody, that we're better than what our numbers have been showing. And so I like our mindset right now, and I think that this week that their relationship has completely gotten better, and it's going to improve. It's going to just improve and keep improving.
Is it important to win this many grind-out games in the beginning of the season, maybe to prove something to yourself as an offense that you can just win in a variety of ways?
Yeah, I think it's really good that, and I told him, when we started out, guys, last year we had all this experience back. We had a guy future first pick. We had a quarterback that was a 3-year starter coming back, and we expected to score at least this many points a game. But we don't even talk about that now. We talk about look up at the scoreboard in the fourth quarter, and then okay, we got to have one more than the other team. And that's all we talk about. That's all we concentrate on, because we're just at that stage right now. Like I said, there is no easy fix. We're not just going to all of a sudden start, ripping off 50 points a game. It doesn't work like that in football, man. You just build and you get better and you grow because we're young and inexperienced.
Speaking of the 50, I know Coach Gonzalez keeps saying he was asking you last year if you're going to put up 50. Has he asked you that yet this year?
No. I don't think he does. I don't think he doesn't talk to me right now. I'm just joking. He does.